The boy's bare feet slapped against broken asphalt as he ran toward the only predators more dangerous than the ones beating his mother, 5 leather-clad bikers whose wolf tattoos weren't just ink, and whose motorcycles growled like something born, not built. Jesse Cooper didn't know what made him run to them. Maybe it was the way their bike sounded like thunder even when standing still. Maybe it was because nobody else at the roadside diner had looked up when he burst from the forest trail, tears carving tracks through the dirt on his face. Please. The word came out broken, his throat raw from screaming. Please, you have to help her. The 5 bikers had been eating breakfast, eggs and bacon and coffee steaming in the morning air. They moved as one, heads turning, bodies going still in that way that reminded Jesse of deer right before they bolted. The biggest one stood first. He had silver running through his dark hair and eyes the color of river stones. His leather vest bore a patch, Iron Moon MC. A wolf's head, mouth open, howling. Slow down, kid. The man's voice was rough but not unkind. What's wrong? Jesse's chest heaved. His Superman pajamas were torn at the knee, one sleeve hanging by threads. My mom. These men, they're hurting her. In our trailer. Please, nobody else will help, please. The words tumbled out faster than he could think them. He pointed back toward the woods with a shaking hand. 2 miles that way. My dad's been gone and these men came and I ran, but she's still there, Ann. How many men? This from a woman in the group, her red hair pulled back tight, tattoos covering both arms. 3. Jesse wiped his nose with the back of his hand. Big ones. The bikers looked at each other. Something passed between them without words. Jesse felt it in his bones, the way animals talk to each other, the way his dog used to stare at the woods before a storm came. We don't get involved in human business, Ghost. This from a younger guy, maybe 25, with a scar cutting through his eyebrow. You know that. Especially now, with Kane. I know what I know, Finn. Ghost, the silver-haired man, hadn't taken his eyes off Jesse. He stepped closer, and Jesse smelled leather and motor oil and something else. Something wild, like the forest after rain. Ghost crouched down, bringing himself to Jesse's level. His eyes searched Jesse's face, and for a moment, something flickered there. Pain, maybe. Recognition. What's your name, boy? Jesse. His voice came out small. Jesse Cooper. Cooper. Ghost repeated the name slowly, like he was tasting it. His nostrils flared slightly. Where's your father, Jesse Cooper? I don't know. He left 3 weeks ago. Mom said he went to find work, but... Jesse's chin trembled. He bit down hard on his lip. 8-year-olds don't cry. Dad always said that. But Dad wasn't here. Ghost's jaw tightened. He stood, turning to his pack. Gear up. Ghost, this is a mistake. The woman crossed her arms. We've been careful for months. Kane's tracking us, you said it yourself. We cause a scene, he'll know exactly where. I said gear up, Luna. Ghost's voice dropped to something that made Jesse's skin prickle. 3 men. 1 woman. 2 miles in. He paused. The boy smells like pack. That made them all go still again. The one called Finn stepped forward, breathing in deep through his nose. His eyes widened. Shit. He's right. Impossible, another biker said, this one older, with a gray beard. Cooper's not a wolf name. And the kid doesn't know. Doesn't matter what he knows. Ghost was already walking toward his motorcycle, a beast of chrome and black metal. His mother's bleeding. I can smell it from here. We're going. Jesse didn't understand what they meant about pack or smelling things. All he understood was that they were moving, mounting their bikes with practiced ease. Relief flooded through him so fast his knees almost buckled. Ghost swung his leg over his bike and looked back at Jesse. You ever ride? Jesse shook his head. You are now. Come here. Jesse ran to him. Ghost pulled him up onto the seat behind him. Hold on tight. Arms around my waist. Don't let go no matter what you see. Understand? Yes, sir. Good kid. Ghost's voice was gentler now. Then louder, to the others, Luna, Finn, you're with me. Crash, Preacher, circle around back. Nobody gets out. What about Kane? Luna asked, her bike rumbling to life. Let him come. Ghost's hands gripped the handlebars. I'm done running. The engines roared. Jesse wrapped his arms around Ghost's waist and held on as the parking lot gravel sprayed beneath them. They burst onto the road, 5 bikes moving like a pack of something Jesse didn't have a name for. The wind screamed in his ears. Trees blurred past. Ghost's back was solid against his chest, warm despite the morning chill. Jesse had never moved this fast in his life. When they left the road and plunged onto the dirt trail leading to the trailer, Ghost didn't slow down. The bike ate up the ground, bouncing over roots and rocks. Jesse's teeth rattled. His arms ached from holding on. He could see the trailer now through the trees. The dented silver box his mom had called home for the past year, since Dad lost the house. The door hung open. From inside came sounds that made Jesse's stomach hurt, his mother's voice, pleading, and men's laughter. Ghost stopped his bike 50 feet away. The others pulled up beside him, engines cutting out one by one until there was just the sound of Jesse's ragged breathing and the ugly noises from the trailer. Stay on the bike, Ghost said quietly. No matter what happens, boy, you stay right here. But my mom. We'll get her. Ghost swung off the bike. I promise you that. The 5 bikers walked toward the trailer. They didn't hurry. There was something in the way they moved that made Jesse think of wolves he'd seen in nature documentaries, casual, confident, deadly. A man stumbled out of the trailer, laughing about something. He was huge, wearing a stained t-shirt, tattoos covering his thick arms. When he saw the bikers, his laughter died. The hell do you want? Ghost stopped 10 feet away. The woman. Send her out. This ain't your business. The man's hand went to his belt. Turn around and... He never finished the sentence. Later, Jesse wouldn't be able to say exactly what happened next. One moment the 5 bikers were standing there, human and still. The next moment, the air seemed to shimmer, and Jesse's eyes couldn't quite focus, and there was a sound like fabric ripping multiplied by 5. When his vision cleared, the bikers were gone. In their place stood 5 wolves. Not dogs. Wolves. Massive, bigger than any wolf had a right to be. Ghost, Jesse knew it was him somehow, knew it in the same place he knew his own name, had fur the color of storm clouds. His eyes were the same river stone gray. The man in the doorway screamed. The wolves charged. Jesse's hands gripped the motorcycle's seat. His heart hammered against his ribs. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. Wolves didn't just appear. People didn't just. His mother's scream cut through everything else. Jesse jumped off the bike and ran. Chapter 2. Jesse's feet hit the ground running, but he only made it 3 steps before arms like steel bands wrapped around his chest and lifted him clean off the earth. I said stay on the bike. Ghost's voice was human again, rough with something Jesse couldn't name. The biker held him easily with one arm while Jesse kicked and thrashed. Mom. Mom. We've got her, kid. I swear to you, we've got her. Ghost carried him back to the motorcycle, but he didn't put Jesse down. Instead, he turned them both so Jesse could see the trailer. For wolves, Luna's russet fur unmistakable even from here. Had the 3 men on the ground. Not attacking, Jesse realized. Guarding. Keeping them down with teeth bared and growls that carried across the clearing like rolls of thunder. The trailer door banged open again. Jesse's mother stumbled out, one hand pressed against her side. Her lip was split, blood trailing down her chin. Her shirt was torn. But she was moving. She was alive. Mom. Jessie's voice cracked. Sarah Cooper's head snapped up. She saw Jessie and started to run toward him, but her legs gave out after 2 steps. She went down hard on her knees in the dirt. Ghost moved. 1 second he was holding Jessie, the next he'd set him down and was crossing the distance to Sarah in long strides. Jessie ran after him, his bare feet finding every sharp rock in the clearing. His mother looked up as Ghost reached her. Their eyes met. Everything stopped. Jessie watched his mother's face go white, then red, then white again. Her mouth opened. Closed. Her good hand came up, fingers trembling, reaching toward Ghost's face but not quite touching. Nathan? The name came out broken, disbelieving. Nathan Thorne? Ghost, Nathan, had frozen mid-reach. His hands hung in the air between them. His chest rose and fell like he'd been running for miles. Sarah. Just her name. Nothing else. But the way he said it made something twist in Jessie's stomach. You're dead. His mother's voice was getting louder, shriller. They told me you died. 15 years ago, they said you died in. She stopped, her eyes cutting to Jessie, then back to Ghost. You're supposed to be dead. So are you. Ghost's voice was barely above a whisper. Then, louder, harder, they told me you were killed in the pack wars. Your father said. My father lied. Sarah tried to stand, swayed. Ghost caught her elbow. She jerked away from him like his touch burned. Don't. Don't you dare touch me. Mom? Jessie pushed between them, wrapping his arms around his mother's waist. Mom, you're bleeding. Sarah's attention snapped to him. Her hands came up to cup his face, checking him for injuries with desperate efficiency. Baby, are you hurt? Did they touch you? Did anyone? I'm okay. I got away. Jessie pressed his face against her shoulder. She smelled like home, even mixed with blood and fierce sweat. I got help. Just like Dad said. If there's ever trouble and Dad's not there, find someone bigger. His mother made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Her arms tightened around him. Behind them, one of the men on the ground started shouting. You freaks better let us up. You think you can just. Luna's growl cut him off. Even in human form, Jessie knew that sound would have been terrifying. As a wolf, it made his bones feel like water. Ghost turned, putting himself between Sarah and the men. Finn. Status. One of the wolves, Finn, Jessie guessed, shifted back to human form. The change happened so fast Jessie almost missed it. One breath, wolf. Next breath, a man crouching naked in the dirt. Jessie looked away quickly, his face heating. 3 subjects subdued, Finn reported, ignoring his lack of clothes like it was the most normal thing in the world. No serious injuries to any of them. Yet. That last word carried weight. But Ghost, there's something you need to see. Ghost moved toward them. Jessie started to follow, but his mother's hand shot out and grabbed his shoulder. Jessie, stay here. But. Here. Now. His mother's voice had that tone that meant don't argue. Jessie stayed. Ghost crouched beside the biggest man, Rick. Jessie heard someone call him. The biker grabbed Rick's shirt collar and yanked it down, exposing his neck. Even from 15 feet away, Jessie could see the tattoo. A circle with symbols inside, and what looked like a wolf's skull at the center. Ghost went very, very still. Hunter's mark, Finn said quietly. All 3 of them have it. That's impossible. This from Luna, who'd shifted back to human form. She'd pulled on clothes from somewhere, a bag on one of the bikes, maybe. Hunters don't do meth. They don't beat up random women in trailer parks. They're organized, they're They're whatever they need to be to get close to their targets. Ghost stood, his hands curling into fists. How long have you been watching us? Rick spat blood into the dirt. Long enough to know what you are, dog. Long enough to know. He stopped, his eyes sliding past Ghost to Sarah. Well. Didn't know the bitch had a mate. That makes this easier. Ghost moved like lightning. His hand wrapped around Rick's throat, lifting the man half off the ground despite the size difference. Say another word. Please. Give me the reason. Ghost, don't. Sarah's voice cut across the clearing. He's not worth it. They're not worth it. They had their hands on you. Ghost's voice was completely flat. Empty. That made it worse somehow. They hurt you. I'm fine. You're bleeding. I'm fine. Sarah pushed herself to her feet, wincing. Put him down. If you kill him, you bring every cop in 3 counties down on this place. You want that? You want them asking questions about how 5 bikers took down 3 men? You want them looking at you too close? Ghost's jaw worked. For a long moment, Jesse thought he wouldn't listen. Then, slowly, he opened his hand. Rick dropped, gasping, to the ground. Preacher. Ghost's voice was controlled again. Scary controlled. Call Mercy. Tell her we need the cleanup crew and a memory worker. You can't erase this. Rick was laughing now, even while he coughed and held his throat. Kane knows where you are. He's been tracking you for months. You think 3 low-level hunters are all he sent? You're already caught, Thorne. You just don't know you're in the trap yet. The name Kane sent a visible ripple through all the bikers. They looked at each other with the same expression Jesse had seen on his mom's face when the power company threatened to shut off their electricity, trapped, scared, trying not to show it. How many? Ghost asked softly. Enough. Rick grinned, his teeth red. More than enough to. Shane chose that moment to make his move. Jesse saw him pull the gun from his waistband. How had none of them noticed it before? Saw him raise it toward Ghost's back. Jesse's mouth opened to scream a warning. His mother moved faster. Sarah lunged forward, putting herself between Ghost and the gun just as Shane fired. The sound cracked across the clearing like the world breaking. Ghost spun, but he was too late. Sarah was already falling. MOM. Jesse ran. Time went weird and syrupy. He could see everything too clearly, the hole in his mother's shoulder, high up near her neck. The blood, so much blood, spreading across her torn shirt. Ghost catching her before she hit the ground. The expression on Ghost's face, like someone had reached into his chest and torn something vital out. Behind them, Luna had Shane on the ground, the gun knocked away. Finn had transformed again, clothes shredding, bones reshaping in that horrible beautiful way, and stood over Shane with his jaws around the man's throat. But Jesse only had eyes for his mother. Sarah, stay with me. Ghost lowered her carefully to the ground. His hands pressed against her shoulder, trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, damn it. You don't get to die. Not now. Not after, Sarah. Jesse dropped to his knees beside them. His mother's eyes were open but unfocused. Her breath came in short gasps. Mom, please. Jesse grabbed her hand. Please, you have to be okay. You have to. Heat exploded behind Jesse's eyes. The world went white, then amber, then shifted into something else entirely. Suddenly he could smell everything, his mother's blood, copper and salt and wrong. The fierce stink coming off the 3 men. The wild forest scent of the bikers. And underneath it all, something else. Something that smelled like moonlight and running and belonging. Something that smelled like home. His fingers ached. Jesse looked down and screamed. His hands weren't hands anymore. They were changing, bones lengthening, nails darkening into claws. Fur, actual fur, was sprouting from his skin. No, no, no. His mother's voice, suddenly clearer. Her good hand reached for him. Jesse, baby, listen to me. Listen to my voice. But Jesse couldn't listen. There was something inside him trying to get out, something that had always been there but was only now waking up. It hurt. Everything hurt. Ghost, help him. Sarah tried to sit up, failed. Please. He doesn't know how to control it. He doesn't know what he is. Ghost looked at Jesse. Something in his stone gray eyes shifted. Jesse. Look at me, son. Jesse couldn't. His back was arching, bones grinding together. He was going to split apart, he was going to. Ghost's hand came down on the back of his neck. Firm. Grounding. Breathe, Ghost said quietly. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Feel the earth under your knees. The air on your skin. You're not losing control. You're finding it. Breathe. Jesse tried. Failed. Tried again. That's it. Good. Again. Ghost's thumb rubbed small circles at the base of Jesse's skull. You're safe. Your mom's going to be fine. We've got you both. Breathe. Slowly, so slowly, the pain receded. The fur retreated. Jesse's hands became hands again. He collapsed forward, and Ghost caught him. What's happening to me? Jesse's voice was tiny. What am I? Over his head, Ghost and Sarah looked at each other. We need to move, Finn called. Shane's not breathing right. I think I crushed something. And Luna says she hears sirens. Someone must have heard the gunshot and called it in, Preacher added. We've got maybe 5 minutes. Ghost looked down at Sarah. She looked back at him. Years of something Jesse didn't understand passed between them. Take us with you, Sarah said. Please. If Kane knows about you, he knows about me. He knows about Jesse. We're not safe here. You want me to take you back to the pack? Ghost's voice was dangerous. To your father? My father's dead. Has been for 3 years. Sarah coughed, grimaced. The pack scattered after the wars. There's nothing left to go back to. Sarah. Please, Nathan. She used his real name again. I know you hate me. I know you think I know what you think. But Jesse is innocent. He doesn't know anything. About us, about what he is, about. She trailed off, her eyes cutting to Jesse, then away. Don't make him pay for my choices. Ghost's jaw clenched. He looked at Jesse, really looked at him for the first time since the transformation started. Something moved in his face. Something that looked like pain and recognition and decision all at once. Preacher, get the van. Luna, wipe the scene. Finn, crash, load those 3 into the van. We'll drop them somewhere far from here. Ghost slid his arms under Sarah and stood, lifting her like she weighed nothing. You're coming with us. But when you're healed, we're having a conversation. A long one. About what? Sarah's voice was getting weaker. About everything you never told me 15 years ago. Ghost started toward the bikes. Starting with why you're using the name Cooper instead of Thorn. Jesse's head snapped up. Thorn? But that's... He stopped. Looked at Ghost. At his mother. At his own hands, which minutes ago had started turning into paws. Oh, Jesse said quietly. Sarah's eyes met his. They were full of tears. Baby, I can explain. Later. Ghost's voice cut through everything. Right now, we run. The sirens were getting louder. Jesse climbed onto Ghost's bike again. His mother was handed carefully to Luna, who held her steady in front of her on her own bike. The three hunters were dragged into a black van that Jesse hadn't noticed before. When had that arrived, and secured inside. Engines roared to life. They fled into the forest as the first police car turned onto the dirt road, its lights painting the trees red and blue. Jesse held on to Ghost, his father. No, that was impossible. His father was Dale Cooper. His father was a man whose last name was Cooper, even though Jesse's mother's real name was apparently Thorne. Nothing made sense. Everything hurt. Jesse pressed his face against Ghost's leather vest and closed his eyes and held on as they thundered deeper into the woods, leaving behind the only home he'd ever known. Behind him, he heard his mother's voice, weak but clear. Don't tell him, Nathan. Promise me. Don't tell him about us. Not yet. He's not ready. Ghost's response was lost in the roar of engines and wind and Jesse's own heartbeat pounding in his ears. But Jesse had heard enough. There were secrets here. Big ones. And somehow, they all led back to the silver-haired biker with his father's eyes, whose touch on Jesse's neck had felt like coming home. Chapter 3. The compound looked like something out of a movie, the kind where bad things happened behind high fences and locked gates. Jesse pressed his face against the van's window as they pulled through the entrance. Razor wire coiled along the top of a 12-foot chain-link fence. Security cameras swiveled on posts every 20 feet. The main building was low and sprawling, made of concrete and steel, with narrow windows that looked more like gun slits than anything meant to let in light. Home sweet home, Finn muttered from the driver's seat. Jesse's mother hadn't woken up since they'd loaded her into the van. She lay across the back seat, her head in Luna's lap, her breathing shallow. The makeshift bandage Luna had pressed against her shoulder was soaked through with blood. Ghost's motorcycle roared past them, leading the way. He pulled up to the main building and was off his bike before the engine died, already barking orders at people Jesse didn't recognize. More bikers, more wolves, Jesse supposed, though they looked normal enough. A woman in scrubs came running out with a gurney. The van's door slid open. Ghost appeared, his face a mask Jesse couldn't read. Bring her inside. Mercy's waiting. They carried Sarah into what looked like a medical bay, too clean, too bright, too official to be just a biker clubhouse. The woman in scrubs, Mercy, Jesse guessed, started cutting away his mother's bloody shirt. Jesse tried to follow, but Ghost's hand landed on his shoulder. Let them work, son. That word again. Son. The way Ghost said it made something squeeze tight in Jesse's chest. She's going to be okay, right? Jesse hated how small his voice sounded. Mercy's the best. Ghost steered him toward the door. Come on. I'll show you where you can clean up. Jesse looked back once more at his mother's pale face before the door closed between them. The room Ghost led him to was small but clean. A bed, a dresser, a bathroom attached. Like a hotel room, except the window had bars. For security, Ghost said, following Jesse's gaze. We've had trouble with hunters before. The bars work both ways. Keeps threats out as much as they keep anyone in. Am I a prisoner? No. Ghost crouched down, bringing himself to Jesse's level again. But you're not safe out there either. Not anymore. Those men at the trailer, they were hunters. They were there for your mother. Maybe for you too. Jesse's hands curled into fists. They still ached from whatever had tried to happen earlier. Why? What did we do? Ghost was quiet for a long moment. It's complicated. Everyone keeps saying that. Jesse's voice rose. My hands turned into claws. There were wolves that used to be people. You and my mom know each other, but she said you were dead. Nothing's complicated. Everything's just crazy. You're right. Ghost stood, running a hand through his silver-streaked hair. You deserve answers. Real ones. But some of those answers need to come from your mother, not me. When? When she's strong enough to give them. Ghost moved toward the door. Get cleaned up. There's clothes in the dresser that should fit. I'll have someone bring you food. Wait. Jesse's voice stopped him. Earlier. When I was changing. You helped me. You knew what to do. Ghost turned back slowly. Yeah. Are you? Jesse swallowed hard. Are you like me? Whatever I am? Yeah, Ghost said again. I am. And my mom? That's her story to tell. Ghost's hand was on the doorknob. Rest, Jesse. You're safe here. Then he was gone, leaving Jesse alone with questions that multiplied faster than he could count them. Ghost found Sarah awake 3 hours later. Mercy had cleaned and stitched the wound, pumped her full of antibiotics and something for pain. The bullet had gone clean through. Lucky, Mercy said, though nothing about this situation felt lucky to Ghost. Sarah was sitting up when he entered the medical bay, her shoulder wrapped in clean white bandages. She looked small in the hospital bed. Fragile. Nothing like the fierce young wolf he'd known 15 years ago. Nathan. She said his name like a prayer or a curse. Ghost couldn't tell which. He pulled a chair close to her bed and sat. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. You look good, Sarah finally said. Older. But good. You look like you've been living rough. Ghost kept his voice neutral. Cooper. That was the name you chose? It was Dale's name. He was kind to us. To me and Jesse. He gave us stability when we had nothing. Dale Cooper. Ghost tasted the name. The man Jesse thinks is his father. Sarah's eyes dropped to her hands. Yes. Where is he? Really? Dead. The word fell like a stone. 3 weeks ago. Car accident. At least that's what the police said. But I knew better. I knew he'd finally. She stopped, her breath catching. Ghost waited. I need to tell you something, Sarah said. Several things. And you're going to hate me more than you already do. I don't hate you. You should. She looked up at him then, her eyes shining with unshed tears. The pack war. 15 years ago. When they told you I died, I didn't. I ran. I faked my death and I ran, and I never looked back. Ghost's hands tightened on the arms of the chair. Why? Because I found out about the betrayal. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Someone in your pack, our pack, had been feeding information to hunters. For money. For protection. I don't know. But I found the proof. Letters, payments, meeting locations. Everything. Who? The word came out like a growl. I never got the chance to find out. I was going to bring it to you, but before I could, the hunters attacked. Your father, my father, half the pack, dead in one night. I thought you were dead too. Everyone said you were dead. And I was pregnant, Nathan. 8 weeks pregnant with our. She stopped. The words hung in the air between them. Ghost couldn't breathe. No. Jesse is your son. Sarah's tears spilled over now. I swear to you, I didn't know I was pregnant when I ran. I found out 2 weeks later. And by then, everyone thought we were both dead. So I stayed dead. I ran as far as I could and I stayed dead because I didn't know who I could trust. You could have trusted me. Ghost's voice was raw. Could I? Sarah leaned forward. Your pack was infiltrated, Nathan. Someone close enough to know our movements, our safe houses, our plans. For all I knew, you were the. Ghost was on his feet before he knew he was moving. You thought I betrayed you? My own mate? My own pack? I didn't know what to think. Sarah's voice rose to match his. I was 18 years old, pregnant, and everyone I loved was being slaughtered around me. So yes, I ran. I hid. I found a human man who was kind and decent and would never ask questions about my past, and I tried to build a normal life for my son. Your son. A life where he wouldn't have to worry about hunters or pack politics or transforming into a monster every full moon. Werewolves aren't monsters. Try telling that to an 8-year-old whose hands just turned into claws. Sarah's laugh was bitter. I've kept him ignorant for 8 years, Nathan. 8 years of suppressants and careful diet and never, ever letting him get too emotional. 8 years of lying to my own child about what he is. What we are. And it worked, right up until today. Ghost sat back down heavily. The transformation. At the trailer. That was his first time. He was manifesting early because of stress. Fear. Trauma. Sarah pressed her good hand against her eyes. I knew it was coming. I'd been watching for the signs. His sense of smell getting sharper. His temper getting shorter. The way he can't sleep on full moon nights. I thought I had more time. There's never enough time. Ghost stared at the wall, his mind racing. You said Dale Cooper was kind. That he gave you stability. What happened to him? Sarah's hand dropped. Her face went very still. That's the other thing I need to tell you. The thing that's going to make you understand why we can never be safe. Why Jesse can never be safe, no matter how far we run. Tell me. Dale Cooper wasn't his real name. Sarah's voice was flat now. Empty. His real name was Dale Kane. Henry Kane's younger brother. The world tilted. No, Ghost said. That's not, you didn't. I didn't know. Sarah's words came faster now, desperate. I swear to you, I had no idea who he was. I met him in a diner in Montana. He was charming and normal and human. Everything I needed him to be. We were together for 6 years before he told me his real last name. Before I realized what I'd done. You married into a hunter family. Ghost's voice was absolutely flat. You married the brother of the man who's been trying to kill my pack for the last 3 years. Henry Kane didn't start hunting werewolves until after Dale died. Sarah was crying openly now. Dale protected us. He kept his brother away. He lied to Henry, told him we'd moved overseas, that we were nobody important. But then 3 weeks ago, that car accident, Nathan, it wasn't an accident. Henry killed his own brother. Because Dale refused to give us up. Ghost stood again. Paced to the door and back. His wolf was rising, pressing against his skin, demanding blood. Does Henry know about Jesse? Yes. The word was barely audible. Dale told him before he died. Told him everything. That I was a werewolf. That Jesse carried the gene. That's why Henry's been hunting you so hard these past few weeks. He knows Jesse's father is still alive somewhere. He's been tracking the Iron Moon MC, hoping you'd lead him to us. He thinks I'm Jesse's father. He knows you're Jesse's father. Sarah met his eyes. Dale kept records. Photos of me from before, when I was still with the pack. He had a picture of you and me together at the Midsummer Festival. Henry saw it. Put the pieces together. Ghost's laugh was harsh. So Henry Kane wants revenge. Against me for corrupting his sister-in-law. Against Jesse for being an abomination. Is that about right? Henry calls Jesse the key. Sarah's voice dropped. He's obsessed with werewolf genetics. With understanding how the transformation works. He thinks if he can study Jesse, a born wolf, not bitten, he can find a way to create a serum. Something that would let humans transform at will. Make an army of controllable wolves. He wants to weaponize our children. He wants to weaponize your son. Sarah reached out, grabbed Ghost's hand. I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know I should have told you years ago. But please, Nathan. Please. Jesse is innocent in all of this. Don't let your anger at me destroy him. Ghost looked down at her hand on his. It was smaller than he remembered. Scarred. She'd been through hell, he realized. Maybe different hell than him, but hell all the same. I need to think. He pulled his hand away gently. You need to rest. We'll figure this out. Nathan. Rest, Sarah. He was already at the door. That's an order from your alpha. He left before she could respond, before he could see the way her face crumpled at those words. The pack meeting happened an hour later in the main hall. Ghost stood at the head of the long table. Luna sat to his right, Finn to his left. Preacher, Crash, and a dozen other wolves filled the remaining seats. They all looked at him with varying degrees of concern and suspicion. So let me get this straight, Preacher said slowly. The woman is your ex-mate who faked her death 15 years ago. The kid is your biological son who doesn't know you exist. And the biggest hunter threat we've faced in decades is the kid's step-uncle who wants to turn him into a science experiment. That about covers it, Ghost said. We should send them away. This from Crash, an older wolf with more scars than Ghost could count. Give them money, fake IDs, send them to Canada or Mexico or anywhere that isn't here. They're targets. Having them in the compound makes us all targets. They're pack, Luna said sharply. Blood pack. You want to explain to Jesse, an 8-year-old pup going through his first transformation, that we're abandoning him because it's inconvenient? I want to explain to our pack members' children why their parents got killed protecting someone else's problem, Crash shot back. It's not someone else's problem, Ghost's voice cut through the rising argument. Jesse is my son. That makes him pack. Sarah is his mother, and whatever happened between us in the past, she doesn't deserve what Cain wants to do to her. They stay. Then Cain comes. Finn leaned back in his chair. You know he will. He's probably already on his way. Let him come. Ghost's hands flattened on the table. We've been running from Henry Cain for 3 years. I'm done running. This compound is fortified. We have weapons, we have numbers, we have advantage of terrain. If Cain wants a war, we'll give him one. Ghost. Luna's voice was careful. What about Jesse? If this goes bad. It won't go bad. But if it does. It won't. Ghost's eyes flashed amber. I've been a ghost for 15 years. Dead to the woman I loved, dead to the son I never knew existed, dead to everything but this pack and this fight. I'm done being dead. We stand. We fight. We protect our own. That's what pack means. Silence fell over the table. All in favor, Ghost said quietly. Every hand went up. Even Crash's, though he muttered something about suicidal alphas under his breath. Good. Ghost straightened. Luna, Finn, double the perimeter guards. Preacher, inventory our weapons, silver rounds, wolfsbane, everything. Crash, I want eyes on every access road within 10 miles. If Cain's coming, I want to know about it before he's within striking distance. The pack scattered to their assignments. Ghost stood alone in the empty hall, staring at nothing. Somewhere in this compound, his son was sleeping. His son, who didn't know that Ghost existed. Who thought some dead hunter was his father. Somewhere else, Sarah was healing. Sarah, who'd carried Ghost's child for 8 years without telling him. Who'd faked her death and built a life with the enemy's family. And somewhere out there in the night, Henry Cain was gathering his forces. Ghost's phone buzzed. A text from the perimeter guard, multiple vehicles approaching from the east. At least 20. Armed. Ghost closed his eyes. It had begun. Jesse woke to shouting. He sat up in the unfamiliar bed, his heart hammering. The clothes Ghost had given him, jeans and a t-shirt that fit pretty well, were rumpled from sleep. The window showed nothing but darkness and the glow of floodlights. More shouting. Engines. The sound of metal scraping metal. Jesse went to the door. It was unlocked. He slipped into the hallway, following the noise. The main hall was chaos. Wolves, people, ran in every direction, carrying weapons, shouting orders. Jesse pressed himself against the wall, trying to stay out of the way. Once the woman and the kid. How many guns? Can't let them breach the gate. Jesse's blood ran cold. They were talking about him. Him and his mom. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring the hands that tried to stop him, until he found Ghost standing in front of a bank of security monitors. The screens showed the compound from every angle. And there, at the front gate, were vehicles. Trucks and vans, at least 20 of them, arranged in a semicircle. Men stood behind them, holding rifles. And in the center, illuminated by the floodlights, stood a man Jesse had seen exactly once in his life, 3 weeks ago, at the funeral for the man he'd thought was his father. Henry Kane. Even through the grainy security footage, Jesse could see his smile. Cold. Predatory. A speaker crackled to life. Henry's voice filled the compound. Nathan Thorne. I know you can hear me. Henry's voice was pleasant, conversational. I'm here for what's mine. The woman who seduced and corrupted my brother. And the abomination she whelped. Send them out, and the rest of your mongrel pack can live. Refuse, and I'll burn you all to the ground and pick through the ashes for what I came for. Ghost's jaw tightened. You have 1 hour, Henry continued. After that, we come in. And Ghost? I brought silver. Lots and lots of silver. The speaker cut off. Jesse stared at the screen, at the man who wanted to call him an abomination. His hand started to ache again, that feeling from earlier building behind his eyes. Jesse. Ghost's voice. Go back to your room. No. Jesse didn't look away from the screen. He's here for me. He said it. The abomination. That's me. Jesse. What am I? Jesse turned to face Ghost. What did my mom and that man make me into? What am I supposed to be? Ghost looked at him for a long moment. Then he crouched down, bringing them eye to eye. You're a wolf, Jesse. A werewolf. Born, not bitten. That makes you rare. Powerful. And yeah, it makes you a target for men like Henry Kane who fear what they don't understand. Am I a monster? No. Ghost's voice was firm. Your pack. Your family. And you're mine to protect. Why? Jesse's voice broke. Why do you care? You don't even know me. Ghost's hand came up, hesitated, then settled on Jesse's shoulder. I know enough. And I'm not letting anyone take you. Not Kane, not his hunters, not anyone. You understand me? Jesse nodded, not trusting his voice. Outside, a clock was ticking. 1 hour until war. Chapter 4. The moon rose like a bone-white eye over the compound, full and merciless. Jesse felt it in his blood before he saw it, a pulling, a heat that started in his chest and spread outward until his skin felt too tight, his bones too rigid. He stood at the window of the main hall, one hand pressed against the glass, watching that massive silver disc climb higher. It's starting, isn't it? He asked quietly. Ghost stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Yeah. The full moon. Your first one. It hurts. It will hurt more before it's over. Ghost's voice was gentle but honest. The first transformation is the hardest. Every bone in your body will reshape. Every instinct you've spent 8 years learning to suppress will come roaring to the surface. You'll think you're dying. But I won't die. No. Ghost's hand found Jesse's shoulder. You won't die. I'll be right there with you. The whole way through. Jesse looked up at him. You promise? Something moved in Ghost's face, pain, regret, determination. I promise. But first, there's something I need to tell you. Something your mother should have told you years ago, but I can't wait any longer. What? Ghost took a breath. Dale Cooper wasn't your real father, Jesse. I am. The world tilted. Jesse's hand dropped from the window. He took a step back, then another. No. My dad died 3 weeks ago. My dad was a good man who loved you and raised you when I couldn't. Ghost didn't move toward him. Dale Cooper was a hero. He protected you and your mother for years, even when it put him in danger. But he wasn't your biological father. I am. And I'm sorry, God, Jesse, I'm so sorry I wasn't there. That I didn't know about you until today. Jesse's chest felt like someone was sitting on it. My mom said you were dead. She thought I was. Just like I thought she was dead. Ghost's hands curled into fists. We were separated 15 years ago in a war. A bad one. Lots of people died. Your mother ran to protect you, and I've been lost ever since. She lied to me. Jesse's voice cracked. For 8 years, she lied. She was trying to keep you safe. By lying? Jesse's hand started to ache again, that familiar heat building. By making me think I was normal? By pretending my own father was someone else? Jesse, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. The heat was spreading faster now, racing up his arms. Everything is a lie. My name, my father, what I am, it's all lies. Your name is Jesse Thorne. Ghost's voice was firm. You're my son. You're a werewolf. And you're about to transform for the first time in the middle of a compound surrounded by hunters who want you dead. So I need you to breathe and listen to me. Jesse tried. He really did. But the moon was pulling at him, and the lies were crushing him, and his skin was starting to split. Ghost grabbed both his shoulders. Look at me. Jesse, look at me. Jesse met his eyes, those river-stone gray eyes that were somehow familiar, that had always been familiar even when Jesse didn't understand why. You're going to be okay, Ghost said. I've got you. Your pack has got you. We're going to get through this night together, and then we're going to figure out everything else. But right now, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Jesse wanted to say no. Wanted to scream and run and wake up from this nightmare. But something in Ghost's eyes, in his father's eyes, made him nod. Good. Ghost pulled him close, one hand on the back of his neck, grounding him the way he had at the trailer. Good. Now breathe. We've still got 40 minutes before Kane's deadline. I need you to. The door burst open. Luna stumbled in, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. Ghost, we've got a problem. Reaper's missing. So are 3 of the younger wolves and half our silver ammunition. Ghost's face went very still. Say that again. Reaper's gone. Luna stopped, her eyes widening as she looked past Ghost. Shit. Jesse, get down. Jesse turned just as the window exploded inward. Glass shattered everywhere. Ghost threw himself forward, covering Jesse with his body as bullets tore through the space where they'd been standing. The security monitors sparked and died. Someone was screaming. Wolfsbane rounds. Luna shouted. They're shooting Wolfsbane. Ghost was already moving, dragging Jesse toward the door. Get him to the medical bay. Lock it down. Don't open it for anyone but me. Ghost, Reaper. I know. Ghost's voice was deadly calm. I know exactly what Reaper's doing. The medical bay's reinforced door slammed shut behind Jesse and Luna. Through the small window, Jesse could see chaos, wolves running, guns firing, the front gate shaking as something heavy rammed against it. His mother was sitting up in bed, her face pale. Jesse? What's happening? We're under attack. Luna checked the locks, then moved to arm herself from a cabinet in the corner. Silver-edged knives, a pistol with unusual bullets. And we've got a traitor in the pack. Reaper. Sarah's voice was flat. I knew something was wrong with him. The way he looked at Jesse earlier. Like he was seeing a monster instead of a child. Reaper's second-in-command, Luna said. He's been with Ghost for years. If he's the one who's been feeding information to Kane. She stopped, her expression darkening. We're in serious trouble. Jesse barely heard them. The moon was pulling harder now, that white eye burning through the walls, through his skin, straight into his bones. He doubled over, gasping. It's starting. His mother was beside him instantly, her good arm around him. Jesse, baby, listen to me. Don't fight it. Fighting makes it worse. You have to let go. I don't know how. Jesse's voice was rising, cracking. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, you do. Sarah's voice was firm. It's in your blood. In your bones. You've always known, you've just been taught to push it down. So stop pushing. Let it rise. Jesse's back arched. His hands hit the floor, except they weren't hands anymore. They were paws, white as snow, tipped with black claws. He screamed. Outside, Ghost found Reaper in the armory. The older wolf was loading silver rounds into magazines, his movements quick and efficient. He didn't look up when Ghost entered. How long? Ghost asked quietly. How long what? Reaper's voice was steady. How long have you been selling us out to Kane? Reaper's hands stilled. Slowly, he turned to face Ghost. There was no shame in his expression. No guilt. Just cold certainty. 3 years, Reaper said. Since you became alpha and decided we should hide instead of hunt. Since you made us into cowards. We're not cowards. We're survivors. We're abominations. Reaper spat the word. My sister was turned against her will, Ghost. Bitten by a rogue wolf and left to deal with the consequences. She begged me to kill her. Do you understand that? She begged her own brother to put a silver bullet in her brain because she couldn't stand what she'd become. Ghost's hands curled into fists. And did you? No. Reaper's laugh was bitter. I couldn't. So she did it herself. Put my gun in her mouth and pulled the trigger. I found her body 3 days later. I'm sorry for your loss, Ghost said carefully. But that doesn't give you the right to betray your pack. This pack? Reaper gestured around them. These monsters playing at being human? Pretending we're not predators? We're creatures of nightmare, Ghost. We kill. We hunt. We destroy. And now you're protecting a child, your son, who's going to grow up to be the worst of us. An alpha bloodline? Do you know what that means? It means he's stronger than most. More dominant. So what? So everything. Reaper stepped forward. Kane showed me the old texts. The prophecies. A white wolf will rise from the alpha bloodline. A wolf that can unite all packs, or destroy them completely. Your son isn't just a werewolf, Ghost. He's a weapon. One that Kane wants to use, and one that I won't let exist. Ghost's wolf surged forward. His eyes flashed amber. You touch my son, and I'll... You'll what? Reaper's own transformation was beginning, bones cracking, fur sprouting. You'll kill me? You're second in command? Your brother in all but blood? Go ahead. Prove you're the monster we both know you are. They collided in the center of the armory, wolf meeting wolf, the impact shaking the walls. Jesse's transformation was nothing like he expected. The pain was there, God, the pain was everywhere, bones breaking and reforming, muscles tearing and rebuilding. But underneath the pain was something else. Something that felt like coming home after a long journey. Like finally fitting into his own skin. His mother was still talking, her voice a steady anchor, That's it, baby. Let it come. Don't fight. Flow with it. Flow. And then the pain stopped. Jesse stood on 4 legs instead of 2. His vision was sharper, colors more vivid. Sounds bombarded him from every direction: gunfire, shouting, the thunder of Reaper and Ghost fighting somewhere below. And smells, God, so many smells. Fear and blood and gunpowder and pack. He looked down at his paws. They were white. Pure white, like fresh snow. Oh my God. Luna's voice was barely a whisper. He's a white wolf. A true white wolf. I thought they were extinct. Jesse's mother made a sound between a laugh and a sob. Of course he is. Of course my son would be. She stopped, pressing her good hand to her mouth. Jesse tried to speak, but what came out was a soft whine. His mother knelt beside him, ignoring her injury, and wrapped her arms around his neck. You're beautiful, she whispered. My beautiful boy. Your father would be. She stopped again. Nathan. Nathan needs to see this. As if summoned by his name, an explosion rocked the building. The medical bay door blew inward, torn off its hinges. Reaper stood in the doorway, fully transformed now, his brown fur matted with blood. Behind him, the sounds of fighting had intensified. Reaper's yellow eyes locked on Jesse. He growled, low and threatening. Luna stepped between them, knives drawn. Back off, Reaper. He's just a pup. He's an abomination. Reaper's voice was still recognizably human, but filtered through a wolf's throat it came out distorted, terrifying. And I'm taking him to Cain. Over my dead body. Luna's stance shifted, ready to fight. That can be arranged. Reaper lunged. Luna met him halfway, her knives flashing. They went down in a tangle of limbs and fur and steel. Sarah tried to get up, stumbled, her shoulder wound reopening. Blood soaked through her bandages. Jesse felt something rise in his chest. Not fear. Not pain. Rage. His mother was hurt. Luna was fighting for her life. And this wolf, this traitor, thought Jesse was a monster? Fine. Jesse threw back his head and howled. The sound that came out wasn't a normal wolf's howl. It was deeper, richer, resonant with power that Jesse didn't understand. It filled the medical bay, echoed through the corridors, burst out into the night where the moon hung full and white. Everything stopped. Luna and Reaper froze mid-fight. Outside, the shooting ceased. The battering ram against the front gate went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Jesse howled again, and this time, the command in it was clear: stop. Slowly, Reaper backed away from Luna. His ears flattened against his skull. He was submitting, not to Luna, but to Jesse. To an 8-year-old pup who shouldn't have that kind of authority. But Jesse did. He could feel it now, that power singing through his blood. Alpha power. The same power his father carried, but different. Stronger. Undiluted. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. Ghost burst into the medical bay, his shirt torn, blood on his face. He took in the scene, Luna armed and ready, Reaper submissive, Sarah bleeding again, and Jesse. His son. A white wolf. Ghost dropped to his knees. It's true, he breathed. The old prophecies. You're, Jesse, do you know what you are? Jesse didn't know. But he was starting to understand. Outside, Henry Kane stood at the front gate, his radio crackling with confused reports from his men. All the wolves just stopped. Something happened, some kind of howl. Feel wrong, boss, like we shouldn't be here. Kane silenced the radio with a sharp gesture. He'd heard the howl too. Felt it in his bones, that primal command that even humans could sense. The white wolf, he said quietly. It's real. His second-in-command shifted nervously beside him. Sir, if the prophecies are true, maybe we should. We should press our advantage while they're confused. Cain checked his weapon, a custom pistol loaded with silver bullets blessed by a priest who didn't ask questions. The boy is the key. Get me the boy, and I can control every werewolf pack in the country. Make them heal or make them die. Either works for me. But sir, your brother. My brother was weak. Cain's voice was flat. He let that creature seduce him. Convince him that werewolves could be peaceful. That they weren't the monsters that killed my daughter. But I know better. I've always known better. He raised his hand, ready to give the order to breach the gate. A white wolf stepped into the floodlights. Small, barely more than a pup, but moving with a confidence that belonged to something ancient. Something powerful. Behind him came Ghost, back in human form, and the rest of the Iron Moon pack. Jesse positioned himself directly between Cain's hunters and his pack. Another howl rose from his throat, shorter this time, but no less powerful. Jesse could feel the words behind it, even though he'd never learned to speak with a wolf's voice before. Enough. Cain stared at him. For the first time since this siege began, uncertainty crossed his face. You want to know what killed your daughter? Ghost's voice carried across the space between them. It wasn't a werewolf, Cain. It was a rogue. A human who was bitten and went mad before anyone could help him. We hunted him ourselves. Put him down. Too late to save your daughter, but soon enough that he didn't hurt anyone else. You're lying. I'm not. Ghost moved to stand beside Jesse, one hand dropping to rest on his son's head. Your brother knew. Dale knew. That's why he helped Sarah and Jesse. Because he knew his own brother was consumed by a grief that had twisted into madness. My daughter was 9 years old. Cain's voice shook. 9. That monster tore her apart while I was at work. While I was supposed to be protecting her. I know. Ghost's voice softened. I lost people too. My parents. My pack. The woman I loved, or thought I'd lost. This war we're fighting, Cain. Nobody wins. We all just lose slower. Then end it. Cain raised his pistol, aimed directly at Jesse's heart. Let me kill the abomination. Let me make sure no one else's daughter dies to your kind. Jesse didn't move. Didn't flinch. He stood there, white fur gleaming in the floodlights, and stared at the man who wanted him dead. Ghost's hand tightened slightly on Jesse's head. A warning. A reassurance. A promise. You kill my son, Ghost said quietly, and I'll kill you. And then your men will try to kill me, and my pack will kill them, and this cycle continues until there's nobody left. Is that what you want? Is that what your daughter would want? Don't you dare. She was 9. Ghost cut him off. 9 years old. Innocent. Do you think she'd want her father to spend the rest of his life hunting and killing in her name? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, she'd want him to let go of the rage and try to heal? Cain's hand wavered. Behind him, his men were shifting uncomfortably. Some of them had lowered their weapons. Whatever power Jesse's howl had carried, it was still working on them, making them question why they were here, what they were doing. Killing me won't bring her back, Ghost said. Killing Jesse won't bring her back. Nothing will. But walking away right now? That might save someone else's son. Someone else's daughter. Break the cycle, Cain. Be the better man your brother thought you could be. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Cain lowered his pistol. This isn't over, he said hoarsely. As long as your kind exists, this isn't over. Maybe not. Ghost's hand moved from Jesse's head to his shoulder. But it's over for tonight. Cain gestured to his men. They backed toward their vehicles, weapons still ready but no longer aimed. Within minutes, the trucks were pulling away, disappearing down the access road into the darkness. Only when the last taillight vanished did the pack let out a collective breath. Ghost crouched beside Jesse. You can change back now, son. I'll help you. Jesse tried. The transformation back was easier than the first one, still painful, but manageable. When it was over, he collapsed into his father's arms, shaking and exhausted and more scared than he'd been all night. I don't understand, he said into Ghost's chest. What am I? Why did everyone stop when I howled? Because you're special. Ghost held him close. You're an alpha bloodline. The strongest kind of werewolf. And you're white, which makes you even rarer. There are legends about white wolves, Jesse. Prophecies. Most of us thought they were just stories. What kind of prophecies? Ghost was quiet for a moment. The kind that say you'll either unite all the werewolf packs in the world, or destroy them completely. Jesse pulled back to look at his father's face. Which one am I supposed to do? Neither. Ghost smoothed Jesse's hair back from his forehead. You're supposed to be 8 years old. You're supposed to have a childhood. Everything else? We'll figure it out together. Promise? Promise. Behind them, Luna was helping Sarah walk out of the building. Reaper was bound with silver chains, awaiting judgment. The pack was gathering, drawn by the drama, by the miracle of a white wolf manifesting right in front of them. Sarah reached them, leaning heavily on Luna. Her eyes were on Jesse, full of tears and pride and regret. I'm sorry, she said. For lying. For running. For. Jesse pulled away from Ghost and threw his arms around her waist. It's okay, Mom. It's not okay. I should have. You kept me safe. Jesse looked up at her. That's what parents do, right? Keep their kids safe. Sarah's laugh was watery. Yeah, baby. That's what we do. Ghost stood, facing his pack. Reaper betrayed us. He'll be exiled at dawn. Anyone who has a problem with that can leave with him. Nobody moved. Good. Ghost's hand found Sarah's shoulder. Sarah Thorne returns to the pack. With full protection and status. Anyone who has a problem with that can also leave. Still nobody moved. And Jesse, Ghost looked down at his son. Jesse is pack. My son. Your future alpha. Treat him accordingly. This time, the pack moved forward, surrounding them, touching Jesse's hair and shoulders in welcome. Accepting him. Claiming him as their own. Jesse felt something loosen in his chest. Something that had been tight and scared for as long as he could remember. He was pack. He was home. 2 weeks later. Jesse ran through the forest, his white paws barely touching the ground. Behind him, his father kept pace, larger, darker, but moving with the same fluid grace. They'd been running for an hour, Ghost teaching Jesse how to hunt, how to track, how to let his wolf instincts guide him without losing his human mind. It was the best 2 weeks of Jesse's life. Sure, there were hard parts. Learning to control the transformation. Understanding pack hierarchy. Accepting that he'd never have a normal life. But there were good parts too. Having a father who understood him. A pack that protected him. A mother who'd finally stopped lying. They reached a clearing and stopped, both shifting back to human form. Ghost tossed Jesse a t-shirt from the bag he'd carried. You're getting faster, Ghost said approvingly. Another few months and you might actually be able to keep up with me. I'll beat you, Jesse said confidently, pulling on the shirt. Maybe you will. Ghost ruffled his hair. Ready to head back? Jesse nodded, but as they turned toward the compound, he froze. There, at the edge of the clearing, 2 golden eyes watched from the shadows. Not wolf eyes. Something else. Something older. Dad? Jesse's voice was small. Do you see? But when he looked again, the eyes were gone. See what? Ghost asked. Jesse hesitated. He'd been having dreams lately. Dreams of other white wolves, calling to him in a language he almost understood. Dreams of a great gathering, a destiny he didn't want but couldn't escape. Nothing, he said finally. Just, nothing. They ran back toward the compound together, father and son, finally free. But Jesse knew, in the way that white wolves knew things, that this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, others like him were waiting. And soon, very soon, they would come calling. Epilogue. 3 months later. Jesse woke to the smell of pancakes. Not just any pancakes, his mom's special recipe, the one she used to make on Saturday mornings back when they lived in the trailer. Before everything changed. Before he knew what he was. He stretched in bed, his body still adjusting to the changes. The transformations were easier now, almost natural. Ghost said that was good. That fighting your wolf made everything harder. Sunlight streamed through his window, no bars anymore. Ghost had them removed after the first month, once Kane's hunters stopped circling. Once Jesse proved he could control himself. His room looked different now too. Posters on the walls, wolves, of course, but also superheroes and basketball players. Books on the shelves that Luna had given him about pack history and werewolf legends. A photo on his nightstand of him and Ghost from last week, both in wolf form, caught mid-run by Finn's camera. Jesse picked up the photo, studying it. His white fur stark against his father's storm gray coat. They looked good together. Like they belonged together. Like family. A knock on his door. "You awake, pup?" Jesse grinned. "Yeah, Dad." "Come in." Ghost entered, carrying a wrapped package. He'd started growing his hair out, and Sarah had been cutting it for him. They weren't back together, not like that, not yet, but Jesse caught them talking late at night sometimes. Laughing. Remembering. Maybe someday. "Happy birthday, son." Ghost set the package on the bed. Jesse's eyes widened. "But my birthday's not until," he stopped. "Wait. Is it really October 15th? All day long. Ghost sat on the edge of the bed. 9 years old. Practically ancient. Jesse tore into the wrapping paper. Inside was a leather jacket, small enough to fit him but clearly made by the same person who made the pack's vests. On the back, embroidered in silver thread, was the iron moon symbol. And underneath it, Jesse Thorne. "It's tradition," Ghost said quietly. "When a pack member comes of age, usually 16, but we're making an exception, they get their jacket. Their colors. Makes it official." Jesse's hands trembled as he touched the leather. "I'm really pack." "You were always pack. This just makes everyone else remember it." Ghost helped him slip the jacket on. It fit perfectly. "There's something else." He pulled a smaller package from his pocket. Inside was a silver chain with a pendant, a wolf's head, howling at a crescent moon. "This belonged to my father," Ghost said. "And his father before him. It's passed down through the Alpha line. From father to son. I want you to have it. But what if I lose it?" Jesse's voice was small. "What if I mess up? Then we'll find it together." Ghost fastened the chain around Jesse's neck. "That's what family does. We mess up, and we help each other fix it." Jesse threw his arms around his father's neck. Ghost held him close, and Jesse felt completely safe. Completely loved. "Come on," Ghost said after a moment. "Your mom's making breakfast, and if we don't get down there soon, Finn's going to eat all the pancakes." The kitchen was chaos in the best way. Luna and Preacher were arguing about coffee, whether it should be strong enough to strip paint or weak enough to see through. Crash was reading the newspaper and providing completely unhelpful commentary. Finn was, indeed, stealing pancakes directly from the griddle, earning swats from Sarah's spatula. "Jesse." His mom's face lit up when she saw him. Then she noticed the jacket. Her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, baby. Look at you. Do you like it?" Jessie did a slow turn. You look like a thorn. She pulled him into a hug, careful of her shoulder, still healing, but better every day. Just like your father. Speaking of looking like thorns, Luna called from the coffee pot. Check out the pup's necklace. The pack gathered around, admiring the pendant. Touching Jesse's shoulders, ruffling his hair, welcoming him in the way wolves did, with touch and scent and presence. All right, give the birthday boy some space. Ghost guided Jesse to the head of the table, the alpha's seat. Today, Jesse sits here. Ghost, he's 9, Crash protested. And he's Pack. He sits with honor. Ghost's tone left no room for argument. Jesse climbed into the chair, feeling small in the big seat. But then Ghost sat to his right and Sarah to his left, and suddenly it didn't feel too big at all. Breakfast was loud and messy and perfect. Finn told terrible jokes. Luna argued with everyone about everything. Preacher shared stories about Ghost as a young wolf, stories that made Ghost groan and Jesse laugh until his sides hurt. Crash complained about the pancakes being too sweet, then ate 6 of them. This was Pack, Jesse realized. This noise and warmth and belonging. This was what his mother had run away from and what his father had spent 15 years grieving. This was worth fighting for. Hey, pup. Finn leaned across the table. What do you call a werewolf who can't make up his mind? Jesse grinned. What? A werewhat, werwen, werewolf. Finn cracked up at his own joke. Everyone groaned. Luna threw a piece of pancake at him. That doesn't even make sense, Preacher said. Your face doesn't make sense. Children, Ghost said mildly. We have an actual child at the table. Try to set a good example. Too late for that, Sarah laughed. After breakfast, they went outside. The compound looked different in daylight. Less fortress, more home. Someone had planted flowers along the fence line, Sarah's doing. The motorcycles were lined up like sleeping metal beasts. The autumn sun was warm on Jesse's face. Present time. Luna announced, dragging out a wrapped bicycle. From all of us. Well, mostly me. The guys wanted to get you weapons, but I vetoed that. He's 9, Luna. It wasn't a full moon, just a regular October night, but they didn't need a reason to come together. That was what Pack did. They showed up for each other. Jesse sat between his parents, watching the flames dance. Luna was playing guitar. Finn was singing, badly, but enthusiastically. Preacher was telling Crash about a hunting trip from 20 years ago. Other Pack members Jesse was still learning to know laughed and talked and existed together. You okay, baby? His mom's hand found his. Yeah. Jessie squeezed her fingers. I was just thinking. About? About how 3 months ago, I thought my life was over. Everything was scary and confusing and wrong. He looked up at her, then at Ghost. But now it's not. It's good. Really good. Sarah's eyes shimmered with tears. It is good, isn't it? Best it's been in 15 years, Ghost agreed quietly. Jesse leaned against his father's shoulder, his mother's arm around him from the other side. The fire crackled. Someone started a new song. The stars wheeled overhead, and somewhere above them, the moon, not full tonight, just a gentle crescent, smiled down. For the first time in his 9 years, Jesse Cooper Thorne felt completely, utterly home. The golden eyes still watched sometimes, in his dreams. The other white wolves still called. Destiny still waited somewhere in the future, patient and inevitable. But tonight? Tonight was for pancakes and presents and Pack. Tonight was for being 9 years old with a father who loved him and a mother who'd fought the world to keep him safe. Tonight was for family. And everything else could wait until tomorrow. Later, after the fire had died down and most of the Pack had drifted to bed, Jesse found himself back at his window. The compound was quiet now, peaceful under the stars. A soft knock. Ghost stepped inside, carrying 2 mugs of hot chocolate. "Thought you might still be awake," he said, handing one to Jessie. They sat together on the bed, drinking chocolate and looking out at the night. "Dad?" Jessie asked. "Do you think things will always be this good?" Ghost was quiet for a moment. "I think life is complicated. We'll have hard days. Scary days. Days when being a werewolf feels like a curse instead of a gift." He pulled Jessie close. "But we'll face those days together. You, me, your mom, the pack. We're not running anymore. We're standing. And that makes all the difference. I love you, Dad." Ghost's arm tightened around him. "I love you too, Jessie. More than I knew it was possible to love anyone." They sat like that until Jessie's eyes grew heavy, until he drifted off against his father's shoulder, safe and warm and completely at peace. Ghost carried him to bed, tucked him in, and pressed a kiss to his forehead. "Sweet dreams, White Wolf," he whispered. "Whatever destiny waits for you, remember, you don't face it alone." He left the door cracked open, light spilling into the hallway, and went to find Sarah. She was standing on the back porch, looking at the stars. "He asleep?" she asked. Finally. Ghost joined her at the railing. "He had a good day." "The best." Sarah smiled. "Thank you, Nathan. For this. For giving him what I never could, a real pack. A real family. You gave him everything that mattered, Sarah. You kept him alive. Kept him safe. That's what made today possible." They stood in comfortable silence, the night soft around them. "Do you think we can really do this?" Sarah asked quietly. "Raise him right? Keep him safe from hunters and prophecies and whatever else is coming?" Ghost took her hand, carefully, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. "I think we're going to try our damnedest," he said. "And I think that's all any parent can do." Sarah leaned her head against his shoulder. Not quite reconciliation. Not quite romance. Just 2 people who'd loved each other once, who'd created something beautiful together, learning how to be in each other's lives again. "Happy birthday to our son," she whispered. "Happy birthday to our pack," Ghost replied. And inside, Jessie dreamed not of golden eyes or ancient prophecies, but of running through forests with his father beside him, his mother's laughter following them home, and a family that would never let him go. He dreamed of pancakes and presents and belonging. He dreamed of love. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. Like, share and subscribe for more.